After Manchester City winning 2-1 at Nottingham Forest in Saturday's early kickoff, 5 more 3 p.m. UK time matches in the Premier League. To look over them, especially Arsenal's win and Liverpool's win, Mark Donaldson, alongside Janusz Mihaly. And both Arsenal and Liverpool, very similar, Janusz, 2-0 up. You're thinking, okay, how many can Arsenal score against Brighton? How many can Liverpool get against bottom of the table Wolves? And in some cases, they were both hanging on towards the end. Let's start with Arsenal. Overall, what was their performance like today?
I think it was okay. I mean, a win was needed with what Manchester City did just a couple hours before. I mean, this is the race, right? We're talking about Arsenal and Manchester City, a team that's won it numerous times and knows how to win, as I've mentioned when we chatted about the Manchester City game, against a team that's been close. But I think for the first time, when I think of Arsenal and their chances, before that, last couple of years, I didn't believe that Arsenal could win. Now I do, because everything is in place now to do it. That's the hard part, the experience of not having done so in the past. But today, look, that Brighton side is dangerous. I know they haven't won now in I think 5 Premier League or 5 games straight, I think, in general. Can't remember if it was just in Premier League, but we all know that this team can possess the ball, can press, can win the ball. In the first half, I thought it was all Arsenal, obviously, 2-0, and I thought it was done and dusted. But as we expected, this is a good Brighton team that kept on asking questions, and even, that save by David Raya was tremendous. So look, this is how these games are going to be. Don't expect Arsenal or anybody else to walk through these games and be as wonderful as Arsenal has been so far this season, especially early on. So it's a big win. They had to answer, and they did.
They did, and they get all 3 points, and that's all that Mikel Arteta wants. He'd like a performance as well. He'd like it to be more comfortable. It got nervy in the second half after Brighton pulled one back. But this is a marathon, Janusz. This is 38 games. This is about getting 3 points, and if you get something else, then great. You need results like this, whether it's 1 goal or whatever it is. You might not be at your best. You might have players withdrawing in the warm-up. You might have tweaks to your team with no Yuri and Timber, but you're getting the job done. That shows more of a maturity that you require to win a Premier League title.
Well, yeah, and it shows what Arsenal were missing in those couple years where I didn't believe is depth of squad, right? I mean, this is a formidable side, as you mentioned, rightfully so. Calafiori, falls out. Timber, I think it was a load management. I'm not sure exactly why he wasn't there. And, Declan Rice fills in. Did they miss him in the center of the pitch? Absolutely. We all know he's there. But, speaking of formidable side, that bench, I mean, look at it. I have to, Eze, Madueke, who didn't even feature, right? Martinelli, Gabriel Jesus, Nwaneri. I mean, they have the players. The players needed to adjust very, very quickly in case of Lewis Skelly early on, and they did that. So, look, I mean, obviously not everybody is at the moment performing at their peak, and I think you're going to see that not just with Arsenal, but with everybody, right? We can probably break that down. Some of the players were great early on. Now, obviously, sometimes you lose form, but overall, I think even towards the end there, yeah, we talked about that chance that David Raya saved. I believe it was on Minter, but Martinelli, who's been good coming back, had a if not sitter, a great chance as well. Gabriel Jesus. So I mean, they continue to push. Arsenal continue to play their brand of football. They know they are an attacking side. And, some things are falling into place. Gabriel coming in, that duo in the center of defense is back. So a lot of positives. Not a perfect game from Arsenal, but good 3 points.
Huge 3 points and just what they needed. Now, the opening goal was Martin Odegaard's first at home since February. I don't know if he would have been in that position to get on the end of Saka's assist had Declan Rice been playing in a similar role. But Rice was at right back, and Odegaard took the opportunity and took it well to maybe just push forward a little bit, because you've got Marino and you've got Zubimendi to protect. That's the Martin Odegaard that we remember, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's going to be important that he's going to be at his best. He's coming back, as we know. He's had an injury. I think not just as a captain, but up until the injury, he was so good for them. And Mikel Arteta is going to give him every opportunity to be in that starting lineup, right? I mean, I think he will be there. Marino is the one that's probably not. Although who knows? He should probably be at forward, because that's where he's thriving right now, and that's where they may need him, by the way, by the looks of Gyökeres. So look, Odegaard is such an important player in that process that Mikel Arteta has talked about over the last 5 years, whatever it was. He's been so important. I think this is an important goal for him. I think he's going to thrive, and we're going to see more of that coming in.
Second goal from a set piece, and it was the 17th goal Arsenal have scored from set plays this season. And weirdly enough, each of its last 3 goals off set pieces have resulted in own goals. It's just, I don't know what they do or how they do it, but those deliveries cause chaos. And this time, putting through his own net was Rutter.
That's the bottom line. Perfect delivery from Declan Rice, and that's key. We talk about attacking the ball, winning individual battles, and in front of the goal, right? I mean, that's all important, but the most important part of it all is the delivery. I mean, how many times do we see players on some of the greatest teams ever, some great players, not unable to clear the first defender, right? In terms of delivery. So, I mean, when you look at Declan Rice, I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to ask me when was the last time that he didn't deliver a good ball, which is unusual, right? Because usually we see this all the time. So this was tremendous, and to me, it's no surprise. It's no surprise to anybody else, and it's a skill, right? Everybody's talking about Arsenal and set pieces and all of that. If you know how to do it, do it. Arsenal obviously score goals in different ways. They're a great team. One day may ultimately win all that, but I'm no longer surprised. I don't downplay it in any way, because it's not so easy to do it the way Arsenal does it.
So 2-0 up Arsenal, 64th minute, Diego Gomez pulls one back for Brighton, and an atmosphere that was very jovial, very festive, very 2-0 up, happy days, suddenly became a little bit nervous. How nervous was it, though, after Gomez got that goal back for Brighton, Janusz?
Well, it always gets nervous, right? Because it's Brighton, and that's what we forget. I mean, they had such a poor first half, right? They didn't look great watching that game at home last time against Sunderland as well. But for the first time, Minte didn't start, I believe, for the first time all season. He's been good. When he came in with Wiefer on that right-hand side, the game has changed a little bit. They were unfortunate because Karu Mitoma, who came back after a pretty long injury the last couple of games. I think he was ill ahead of this game, because obviously on that left-hand side, he can do what Minte does on the right-hand side, but there's a lot of quality in that side. If you look at Brighton statistically, they're up there in just about every one of them, especially in terms of attack. So I wasn't surprised that Brighton were going to ask questions, because that's what they do. Just the fact that they've had such a bad December doesn't change the fact that they're capable of that. So once you get that goal, of course, you're going to get a little bit nervous, and Arsenal did. But again, they had an answer towards the end as well, even though they didn't score.
When you look at all the teams that have won the titles over the years, yeah, they've got goal scorers in there. And I want to talk a little bit in a second about Gyökeres and then Gabriel Jesus coming on, whether or not between those two, that's enough from a forwards perspective. But before that, one of the other things that title-winning teams have all had is a decent goalkeeper. And David Raya's save from Minte is worth 2 points, because that has earned them the victory. How important is he? He's seen off Ramsdale. He's seen off Kepa. Is he the right man at the right time for Arsenal?
He's been unbelievable. He's arguably the best. I mean, it's like we don't fancy talking about, we still, we talk about Alisson and everybody else. We'll probably still talk about Ederson, who's no longer at Manchester City, before we talk about goalkeepers like David Raya and Robert Sanchez at Chelsea comes to mind as well, right? I mean, because there's such dominance. When you talk, not even now Donnarumma, you're talking about Alisson and Ederson, but David Raya has done more than he almost needs to do it. I mean, he's been absolutely spot on, and he's been such a strong part of this Arsenal defense, just as strong as anybody I see on that pitch. We all know that the back four of Arsenal, whoever's there, is very good. And when we talk about teams defensively, we often forget to talk about the goalkeepers. We talk about the back three, back four, the partnerships between center backs, but he's been tremendous, and that's a world-class save on Minter, wasn't it?
So let's talk about the strikers. I don't know how often you and I have spoken in the past before Arsenal signed Gyökeres. Arsenal need to get a striker. Arsenal have to sign a striker. If they sign a striker, they've got a much better chance of winning the league. They signed Gyökeres. Again, he was quiet. Gabriel Jesus, coming back from injury, came on. Have they signed the right striker?
Not so far. Huge disappointment for me. It's almost as Mikel Arteta is trying to give him every opportunity to justify the price that he's paid for him in spite of himself, right? Because, it's amazing. I watched him, when he was playing for Sporting, but mostly in highlights. This season, I'm watching a lot of Portuguese league. Don't ask me why, but I have a reason to watch some other players.
You're still married?
But you know what? It is such a poor league. I understand now why he had so much space, so much time.
She was playing with Coventry before that.
But I mean, forget that. That part that they didn't pay for Gyökeres for Coventry, right? And they paid him for what he did at Sporting Lisbon. And you look at him, and all of a sudden, I thought he was faster than he is. I thought that he was stronger than he is. He is very limited, and that's about it. You know who he reminds me of? Rasmus Højlund. Same issues. They work hard enough. You can't take that away from them. But it just goes to show that in those other leagues, it's easier. Yes, and even for Højlund now at Napoli in Serie A, it was easier for him before he came to Manchester United and after. And same with Gyökeres. And I don't know if that changes. It does not mean that he won't contribute. He's contributing a goal here and there, penalty here and there. But I just think that, for a team like Arsenal, I mean, we see what Mikel Merino does. I think when Kai Havertz comes back, he's going to be once again getting games in that position. And Gabriel Jesus, if he gets back to form and he continues to get chances, I think he's going to be there. But in terms of Gyökeres, I mean, even today, he just looks slow. This league is so demanding. You don't have time to think. You don't have time to turn. And unfortunately, unlike Portugal, he's not going to have room to run behind as he did, because just about everyone plays low block against Arsenal. So, look, very, very disappointing. And I don't know if that's changing much.
Well, he's still the top Premier League goal scorer. Eze's got 4, Trossard's got 4, Saka's got 4, and Gyökeres has got 5. They are a team that always spread the goals around, and there are threats everywhere. But he needs to add a few more goals and just be more relevant in games, because that's been an issue with Gyökeres, and he's gone missing for long spells. Still the second half of the season, and Arsenal's victory over Brighton finds themselves back on top of the table following Manchester City's win earlier in the day at Nottingham Forest. Now, Liverpool, after 40 minutes, was 0-0 against Wolves. Ekitike had hit the post and not much else had gone right for Liverpool. Then they scored 2 in 2 minutes. Then it's easy street. How on earth do they end up not so much holding on, but only beating the team who haven't won a game this season and only have drawn 2 and lost the rest in Wolves? How have they only won by 2-1 in this game? What happened here?
Yeah, look, I mean, Liverpool are still not convincing, right? I mean, this is going to be a process. What is this now? 7, 8 games, I think, undefeated. I mean, obviously it's much better than it was. You look at the table, you see top 4, which is something that that Liverpool deserves, and I think they're going to be there, right? But this is a rebuilding year, and I'm not saying that now, knowing what's happened, right? After such a great start to Liverpool, after all the changes and so much money spent on quality, I still think that quality players. You probably thought that Liverpool was going to challenge for the title. Now we've known for a while that that's not going to be the case. Now it's a case about recovery, which they have started to do in the last 7, 8 games, of course, in terms of results. But you could see in games like Wolves that it's not nowhere near the finished product. So there are some pluses, of course. Ekitike is one of them, not just scoring goals, but today involved in one of the goals. Tremendous setup. Really, I think I was on Wirtz. Wirtz, of course, a massive bonus, especially today with a goal, but still defensively questionable. And I just think that, the engine room is not what it needs to be, right? Engine room, talking about Gravenberch, McAllister. I know Gravenberch scored, but in terms of what they did in the past on both sides of the ball, that energy, that power that is still missing, because those players are not creative players, right? When you think of Gravenberch or McAllister, Curtis Jones a little bit more, but still not there. Szoboszlai, who they've missed today, he's been their best player by far. But that engine room is not there just yet. So I think we're going to see games like these, but they continue to win. And as we speak, fourth in the table.
Look, there should be no difference between talking about Arsenal and getting the win, even although it's narrow, than Liverpool. Okay, they played the team at the bottom of the table. You want to put a few goals on the board, but Arsenal needed a late winner, very late winner, to beat Wolves 2-1 as well. There's certain games that you just want to get over the line, get 3 points and get up the road. But there's games like today that Liverpool fans would have gone there thinking, right, this is our chance to put a few on the board against the worst team in the league. So is your glass half empty or half full tonight if you're a Liverpool fan?
Look, I think this is one of those where you look at the positives rather than negatives, because they outweigh that, right? And the positive being Wirtz scoring. He's been very, very good for a long time. He just needed the numbers, right? Because everybody's hung up when it comes to a player like him and the amount of money you spend for these players. The first and foremost, right? It's so easy to go, no goals, no assists in the Premier League, right? And this is a player that, of course, I expect him to score goals, but I expect him to assist. And he's been tremendous today. In fact, I think Liverpool's got to build a game around Florian Wirtz, right? He's that creative. Play him more central. Today he was out wide. He's going to drift in, but I like him almost better when he starts centrally and drifts out wide. So he's been very, very good aside from the numbers, right? And he's been very good for a long time. We just don't choose to see it, especially when you have the sort of run that Liverpool has had before the current one. So that's the positive. And Frimpong, you and I talked about it, right? Conor Bradley today with a great sliding tackle to prevent Wolves from equalizing. But Conor Bradley will never be the type of player that Liverpool needs to win the big titles, the Premier League or the Champions League. He can be coming off the bench, but he cannot be starting player. Frimpong, you saw that today, right? And he's just coming back as well. Ability to take on one-on-one, get to the byline. Great assist once again. I mean, almost every time he gets the ball, engages the defender, and most of the time beats his defender as well. So he was positive as well. 2 Bayer Leverkusen players. A lot has been expected of them. They haven't delivered fully, but they're on the way. Ekitike continues to get better. In the face of Alexander Isak being out for a long time, a lot more pressure on him as well. Shobo's been good. They wanted without him today. Still issues, as I mentioned, defensively and in the engine room.
Let's go a little bit more in depth on Florian Wirtz, because that was his first Premier League goal for Liverpool. 23 games he's played in all competitions. Hasn't scored yet. Nice bit of work from Ekitike. It's his first goal since he scored for Leverkusen at Freiburg in a 2-2 draw back in May. But this was a player that didn't just score lots, but a lot of the time he scored more than once in a game for Leverkusen. Do you think, as this season wears on, we'll look back at that day near the end of December 2025 and say, okay, it took a long time for Florian Wirtz to finally hit the ground running, but that was the day everything kind of kick-started from there? Will this be the norm rather than the exception going forward, do you think?
I absolutely do. I think he's an excellent player. You've heard me before, even last week, and whenever we talk. I have never given up on him. I've seen him. I've seen the talent. He needs to adjust to the quick Premier League, to the physicality of it, because you can see it with him sometimes. He's going to get smarter. I think he's going to get more physical, but the idea here is not for him to be physical. It's just to learn to think a little bit quicker, to get away from this physical game. And he can certainly do that, right? Today, again, he was the playmaker. He's the playmaker on that team. Remember that? I think it was his pass to Ekitike when he hit the post, didn't he? I mean, he sees the game better than most players in the Premier League as well. So I think in time, when everything around him is settled, when Arne Slot finally figures out this team, because he hasn't, right? He's got so many different pieces to this puzzle. Mo Salah is one of them. He's not here as well, but that affects everything. What happens with him now or later, and all of that. Where the leadership is going to shift, right? Is it going to sit with Salah if he comes back and plays and stays, or is it going to be shifted as well? But I think one thing's for sure, that with this sort of talent. And it's an immense talent for Florian Wirtz. That's going to come good. You just got to create the environment for him to be at his best. And I think that's going to happen. So, again, not surprised with this. We're going to see more of that, and he's going to get better with time.
Let's fast forward a month. Mohamed Salah comes back from AFCON representing Egypt. From what we're led to believe, he'll continue as a Liverpool player. It was Chiesa that got the start there. Obviously, if Salah's available, he would start. Gakpo's had a knock. He came off the bench. He comes in from that left-hand side. Isak's out for a while, so it's pretty much Ekitike as your lead. Where are you fitting Gakpo and Wirtz in there and McAllister in there? You've also got Gravenberch that plays in there. You've got Szoboszlai in there. How are you fitting everybody in there, and what formation are you using?
Gakpo's going to have to fight for his spot, for sure. I mean, he hasn't been at his best lately. He started okay, right? But lately, he hasn't been good. He's been playing all the time. Everybody's been questioning that. He's going to fight with Wirtz, because I think Wirtz is going to continue to play there. At times, with rotation and injuries, you're going to see Wirtz central as well. But that's the fight, right? Shobo's playing. Frimpong's going to play right back, and Mo Salah's going to play on the right-hand side. If he doesn't play well, then just like today, you see Frimpong moving up. Salah's going to be an issue, because that issue is going to have to be resolved. We're not going to know everything about it, but it may be, or it will be, affecting the way Liverpool plays. Because I still think, part of me thinks that everything that's happened was the beginning of the end. It really was, because Salah's not going to change. He's always going to expect to start. And it's very difficult for any manager to deal with a player, right? Because Arne Slot's got to be thinking to himself, okay, so what happens next time that I want to take Salah or not start him? What's going to be his reaction, right? It may be different, more quiet, but I think it's going to be the same. You can't manage a team when you know that the player is going to react in such way. And that's going to continue to happen with Mo Salah. That's why I think that there's got to be a solution to this. That solution will most likely come in the summer. I don't see anything coming here unless something crazy happens with an offer. We all know from where, right? Where Salah kind of sees it himself and is going to say, well, I don't want to deal with that either. I'm going to go either to Saudi Arabia or maybe Major League Soccer, because Major League Soccer would probably salivate to take him as well for a number of different reasons as well. Other than that, who else? I mean, everything picks itself, right? Shobo, McAllister, and Gravenberch is your probably preferred midfield if everybody's at their best. And Gakpo has got a fight on his hands.
Liverpool right now are 8 points behind Manchester City and 10 points behind Arsenal. One more game until we're at the halfway point of the Premier League. Liverpool, when they won the league last year, lost 4 times. They've already lost 6. Is the title gone for them?
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be impossible. I think Liverpool may play a massive role in terms of what happens there, right? Just as Villa, as we see it, I think they're going to Arsenal in a couple games, right? Don't have it in front of me, but I know it's Arsenal against Liverpool soon enough as well. So, yeah. I mean, crazier things have happened because we're almost in January, right? I mean, Villa. Unai Emery's doing an incredible job. You and I are getting ready to watch them play Chelsea as well, right? So crazier things have happened, but you'd have to think that Liverpool has to be perfect until the end of the season. And based on what I've seen even today, but in all these games, even though Liverpool's gotten better, it's not convincing, as I said when I started this. So I don't see how Liverpool could even get in that fight for Premier League title.
Well, they've got the top two in January, then February, as you mentioned. Arsenal coming up, but it's at the Emirates on the 8th of January. And then Liverpool taking on Manchester City on the 8th of February. So they will have a say, but if they are to have a say in the title race, they're probably going to have to win both of those. As Janusz mentioned, Chelsea coming up against Aston Villa. We will be back with a full-time reaction on the whistle for that one. Just to recap the other three results, Kevin Schade with a hat-trick for Brentford as they pummeled Bournemouth by 4-1. A massive win. Raul Jimenez for Fulham scoring late. West Ham, bottom three, unable to do anything and get closer to Forest, who lost earlier to Manchester City. Burnley had a right chance near the end, but hit the post and it went along the line and out, so they didn't get the win over Everton, who had their chances as well. So Arsenal win and Liverpool win. They were both 2-0 up. They won by 2-1. The bottom line for both, they get all 3 points. See you after Chelsea Villa right here. Bye for now.